how to get laid in Malaysia. How did I get laid in Malaysia many years back? And this is the question I also asked myself when I arrived here in Malaysia, here in Kota Kinabalu, many years back. How can I get laid? And you have to know, I arrived from Hong Kong at the time. Hong Kong at the time, over 7 million people, and then that was for a single guy, Disneyland East, heaven on earth. Girly bars, bar girls, freelancers, tons of chicks from China, Philippines, Indonesia. It was a double-edged sword, as I told you in some of my videos, but you know, that was my background, my backdrop when I came here. And you know, Kota Kinabalu was actually the opposite. You know, you have to fly like 2.5 hours down south to North Borneo, and KK, as the people call it, had roughly maybe 300,000 inhabitants at the time. And yeah, that is the topic of today's video. How did I manage to get laid? This is a nighttime video here, and I'm gonna walk you through the neighborhood I was hanging out at the time. And you can see already it looks a little bit, not only a little bit, shabbier and shadier, and that is what it was, you know. This is a place called Kampung Air, or Water Village, and this is basically where the local nightlife happened at the time. And you had bars here. We are talking about 2008 to 2010, so this is quite already some years back, okay? But everything seemed to have calmed down a little bit at the time I was here. You had some, as I said, basically the place looks still the same, you know, old and run down, but you had on the left and the right side, you had some bars, hostess bars, you know. You could go inside, have a drink. You could also talk to a girl and spend her some drinks, some lady drinks, but you couldn't take the girl home, so very boring, you know. And I remember this place here also, because here in the back was a dance club, you know. That was very hidden and dark, as it is now, very hidden. Okay, we are a little bit early, it's 7:30 in the evening. I don't know what is happening here today, but I think nothing is going to happen here. And I think maybe this even was the nightclub, a little dance club, you know, and where the locals were dancing and having some fun, you know. And I was so crazy to hang out here. There were no Westerners here, I was the only guy there. They must have thought, what a crazy guy, but nothing happened to me, you know. We had all fun. I even picked a bunch of a couple of Indonesian girls one time here. I picked them up. Yeah. Today I can share the stories. And that was the place to, that was one place to hang out. But that was a real local area. Only the locals would hang out here, and still do today. No Westerners at the time would come here, because the city had very few Westerners, a handful of expats maybe, you know. So yeah, and that was one way to try to hook up with some girls here, but the result was very meager in this area here, you know. I'm gonna show you another area later, which is more for Westerners, but you know, this is Malaysia and not Hong Kong, so I was aware of this. But still, the question was, how could I get laid here? And later, of course, through my colleagues and stuff, I got information about certain establishments here in KK area. So this is the area from the other side. I just was walking through. It's called Kampung Air, and yeah, still today rather shady and dark. So were the people at the time, but we partied until the early morning hours. And yeah, so later on, a few months into my employment, of course, you know, your local buddies, your local folks, the local colleagues here, they gave you some tips, you know, where to find women, because it's Malaysia and everything is happening, you know, not so open. And at the time I was into freelancers and hookers. No problem for me. I was a single guy. I had no issues. So I'm not talking about, when I say how I got laid, I'm not talking about regular girls, you know, like that took too long for me at the time. And by the way, this area here on the right side, that was the ladyboy section. Yeah, I remember. And I don't know whether they're still around or not, but this exactly was the ladyboy strip, very short. Every night between 10:30 and 11 they would show up, local ladyboys. So they also had their rooms here in the area. Yeah, so actually you could get laid in KK at the time. There was no issues. You just needed to have the right connections. And there were a lot of Filipinos working here in KK. With working, I mean they were brought into Malaysia, probably, I don't know, legally, yes, but maybe the girls were told, they were told to work as a waitress here or something like that. And then you know the story, you know how it goes sometimes. Anyway, there were a lot of Filipinos working here in nightclubs, not here in the city. There was a nightclub at the time called R&B2 in Penampang, for example. Or you had many Filipinas at the time also worked as freelancers on a private basis. So you just needed to have their contact numbers. You needed to know the mama sans and stuff like that, you know, to get in touch with these Filipinos. And that was how the game was played. Yeah. Also, I remember there was one hotel here. It was called the Beverly Hotel. I think it still exists, but the name has changed. So the Beverly Hotel is like, you know, you went inside, you went up to a certain floor. I think I needed to call somebody also in advance. And then, I don't know, you wait in the lobby, you call the number, the guy comes down, or he's telling you to come up to, I don't know, 3rd floor, 5th floor, to a certain room or something like that. And then, yeah, you would go inside the room, you take a seat on the sofa, and then a few seconds later he already would bring in and parade maybe 5, 6, 7 different Filipinas in front of you, and then you paid. I paid at the time. Yeah, I paid, you know, what to do, you know. I'm totally transparent with you guys here. I paid 300 ringgit, yeah, for a quickie basically. So yeah, I paid 300 ringgit for 30 minutes, maybe 45 max. Yeah, I worked as a chef at the time. You know, chef's life is really hard, you know, you need to relax from time to time. Just joking here, of course, you know, but So that was one option at the time. I remember I got the tip from one of my chefs, you know, local chef, who was also married he was married and had 4 kids, but he also, you know how it is, you know, even the Malaysian men, you know, they have needs and desires, and they do certain things their wives would never approve of, you know. And I remember this guy, he was actually a nice guy. Always at the end of the month, when he ran out of money already, he asked me, "Hey chef, do you have 300 bucks for me?" You know, and I knew already for what. "I pay you back tomorrow," after the salary was on the bank account. You know, very funny. And he gave me the tip with the Beverly Hotel. So except for the lady boys who paraded outside on the streets openly, there was not such a thing like, you know, you see in Thailand or maybe in the Philippines, where girls or hookers or freelancers or prostitutes would parade freely in the open here. That's a no-go. Also, this area is Muslim dominated. Yeah, but there was another club. I mentioned the name was R&B2. That was a simple, yeah, what was it? A bar, not a club, rather a bar. Simple, not big. I remember I went there a couple of times, maybe 3 times. I always arrived maybe 11 in the night, and there was nothing much to do. There was nothing really going on, and loud music run by a bunch of Chinese guys, you know, local Chinese Malay. But upstairs, where everything happened. So then every guy who went to this establishment knew what was going on there. So they would lead you up to the first floor, and then open the door, and inside this room were sitting like maybe 20 Filipinas, 15 Filipinas, you know, just waiting to being picked up by customers, you know. So that, and this is what I did, you know. And then, of course, I befriended some of the girls. Yeah. And this is how it went. And later I got her phone number also, or the phone number of the pimp, you know. Abang Zul, his name. His name was Abang Zul. Abang Zul, when you watch this video, greetings. Remember the crazy German guy. And this over there, by the way, is the other area I'm gonna show you now. This is the area where it's more for Western people, for tourists and the backpackers, you know. And just have to cross the street here, and then I will continue. Wait a second. So this is the nightlife the nightlife area here, but with some bars and pubs and stuff. But let me finish the story. So the pimp's name was Zul, and I got his number. So every time I wanted a girl, I just texted him or called him, and he arranged for everything. He brought the girl to my apartment. She stayed overnight, the Filipina, and then the next morning Abang Zul would pick the girl up again. One of the girls, I remember her name was Samantha. The only thing I know, she is married already for a long time now, back in the Philippines, and has 3 or 4 children. So I hope she's doing fine. That was option number 2. So we had the Beverly Hotel, where you can just go, a pre-arranged meeting, and then you could meet Filipinas there. Only Filipinas, no Indonesians, no local girls really, you know, no Chinese girls, no nothing. This is another club here. At the time it was not there. So yeah, but these are not girly bars. There are no girly bars here. There never been really, okay? It's just a restaurant here, and so There's another pub further down the road. This is the other side here. You can do some shopping. So yeah, here, so pickup wise, this place was not so popular if you needed quick sex, but there were also freelance Filipinas working in some of these establishments here. I know that freelancers, they were working for themselves. They came from the Philippines. I don't know what the arrangement was. They did have enough money. I don't know how it was, but they rented their own apartment. I know that because me and my colleagues, we would pick these girls up from their home, and these were like 3 or 4 or 5 Filipinas living in the same apartment. So they rented it together. They paid the rent together. So later on, I didn't go to the hotel anymore, or I didn't go to the R&B club to pick up the girls, because these freelancers were cheaper. You know, these freelance Filipinas were cheaper than these other girls, because, you know, of course, the girls, the Filipinas who worked in the hotels and the club there, the pimp got a cut, you know, probably a very big cut, and you see already it's nothing special. So this is not Bangkok, this is not, I don't know, Angeles City, this is not Soy Cowboy, Nana Plaza. This is another club here. So, and that was already way back the same case. Yeah, that was KK. So imagine, I came from Hong Kong, the place where everything was happening in regards to girls, and then I ended up here, you know. So, but that was the situation at the time. There was no beach club like in KL at the time. I've done a beach club video, KL. You know, the guys who know what I'm talking about, they know the beach club. At least in KL you had the beach club, you know. But here you had some tiny pubs, bars, not even discos. Now they have a couple of, like, you can say, clubs, you know, here in the city. But at the time there were no dance clubs. These are real dance clubs here, over there. These are dance clubs, and I assume you can also find freelancers in there, 100% for sure. So that was the situation way back then. And how is the situation today? Honestly, I have no clue, because, you know, I don't do these things anymore. And I don't mean it in a sarcastic way. I'm out of this game, but I thought I'd share the story here with you, because I'm back to KK for a few days. So, and I've never done really a video about how to get laid in Malaysia, but it's definitely possible. But here we are in a different part of the world, you know. This is not Peninsular Malaysia, this is Borneo, Sabah, East Malaysia. This place is very, very, very close to the Philippines. And even many Filipinos consider this place the Philippines, you know. We have many Filipino immigrants here, also many Indonesian immigrants. So this place is like a melting pot. But the people are very close anyway, culturally, mentality wise, you know. So I've talked about this in other videos. So but you have way more tourists than way back then. You have a lot of Koreans, you have Chinese people, so I'm 100% sure you still have plenty of Filipino girls working here, working girls, freelancers and stuff, and pretty sure they work in some hotels. It's still the same setup like before, you know. Most of the pimps are Chinese Malays. They run the show, they own these businesses, they control these businesses, and so you cannot just come here and have some fun and pick up some girl from the street. You have to do some digging. You have to visit a few of these clubs, I'm pretty sure. girls will approach you there, but I don't know how the situation is now today. At the time, the girls, at least the Filipinas, you know, I only dealt with Filipinas because there were basically no local prostitutes available, not openly at all, and not in these hotels, you know. I think for local men who also had needs, it worked differently. There were girls available, but very, very hidden, you know, very secretive everything, and you needed to know some people. I remember the shady area I showed you. There you could find some local girls. Also, I remember now they offered me, but you know, but today, yeah, if you are. If you expect big nightlife here, then don't come here. Again, it's not like in Thailand or something like that. Everything is a little bit more decent and hidden, but these things, they're happening here also, especially with all these tourists here. So that's all I can say. This is what I wanted to share with you, how I got laid here in East Malaysia at the time. It was possible, but not with local girls, but with Filipinas, because the Philippines is very close, and many girls, I don't know why how they came here, legally or illegally, perhaps both, and then maybe they were lied to. I remember the girl Samantha, the Filipina I met many years ago in this club there in Penampang. She told me something like that. They lured her in, promised her to that she can work as a waitress here, and then she arrived, and then they took her passport, you know, so she could not run away, and then she had to work as a prostitute. Yeah, that was the game at the time, maybe still today. And some girls, they come here on purpose. They know exactly what they're doing, especially the freelancers, you know. And this is the food market here, and later I remember this girl Samantha managed to escape from her so-called employer, yeah? And she ran away she made it to the Philippines. I remember one day she called me from the Philippines. She told me the whole story, how she managed to escape from here, from KK. Apparently, yeah, with her passport somehow she managed to get back to the Philippines. So actually a kind of sad story also, and crazy, you know. And yeah, this business has two sides, right? But anyway, there's really nothing more to say. There's nothing more to say. This market here is only during the night time, and I'm getting hungry now, but I have to get out for a moment because I want to close this video. So yeah, there's nothing more to say. And I remember a funny story I want to share with you here at the end. So I remember one time I went with my boss, also a German guy. He was the director of food and beverage. One evening we went to the city in the hotel car. They drove us, and then he was new. Yeah? So I kind of introduced him a little bit to the city. And while we were sitting in a car and driving to the city, I remember he asked me, "Hey Marcel, are there brothels here?" And I was just laughing because, you know, at least I knew this guy is like we are on the same page, you know. So that was in his mind already, yeah. And I also remember that he managed very, very quickly to find girls for himself, and he also ended up with Filipinas, and he had managed to obtain private contacts from Filipina mama-sans who were established here already a long time, and you know, they had their own connections and network. This is how it worked here, and probably still works today. Everything under the radar, of course, you know, and so you need to know some people who know some people, and then you can get laid as much as you want, but everything is very discreet, handled discreetly here, right? So with that being said, I'm checking out for the day. Yeah. That's the story, how I got laid in Malaysia. Take care, bye bye. Oh, I forgot to tell you the prices for the service for the girls. So what I mentioned to you earlier already is this hotel job there. You paid 300 ringgit, which was roughly maybe $60 at the time. It's $70 today, so you paid like $60 to $70, 300 ringgit for a quickie, basically, in a hotel room with a Filipino. Okay, one shot, and if you took 30 minutes, okay. If you took, I think it was even 1 hour, so with a massage included, you know. And the club I mentioned, RNB2 in Penampang, where you basically went upstairs to the first floor and picked any girl you wanted and brought her home. The cost was 500 ringgit per night. It was an overnight job, you know. So you brought the girl to your home, you stayed overnight with you, and the next morning, you remember the pimp Abang Zul, you would pick her up anytime you wanted, you know, I think before lunch. 500 ringgit for an overnight job. Today it's $110, maybe at the time it was $100, something like 100 euros or something like that. So that was the going rate, the going price. I don't know what's the cost today. It's probably more expensive. Have no idea. And the freelancers, the Freelance Filipinas, we could find in the pubs here, or we picked up at home from their homes, were like also actually 300 ringgit for an overnight job, okay, $60-70. I remember I actually managed to get a local girl. She was mixed, she was half Filipino, half Indonesian, so her parents were all illegal immigrants kind of, and yeah, she also charged me like 300 ringgit. So she knew the going rate also. She was a part-time freelancer or something like that. So these were the prices. I don't know anything about massage parlors, that kind of stuff. No idea. I don't think they had this here at the time. I remember another place here in the area, very shady, dark little bar. You had to go upstairs to the first floor, very shady staircase, and then you go inside upstairs, full of local people playing local music. I don't know the nationality, probably is Filipinos and Indonesians, also a local man, and then you had some girls in there, but you could not take these girls out. You could buy them drinks, you could have a chat with them, nice conversation, blah blah blah, maybe exchange phone numbers, but they were not allowed to go with you. It was kind of frustrating. I also remember meeting one Filipina there, and she refused to come with me. So very boring and frustrating sometimes. In the beginning, that was in early times, because I also, of course, was roaming the streets at night and trying to find out what is going on where and what's the situation, you know, like, but it was very difficult to Hong Kong, of course, and very frustrating, you know. So I needed help with some network and connections. So yeah, that's it.